safe. As long as I feel safe, that's the main thing. Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's kind of lunchtime. The chat box is there for anyone coming on that wants to have a chat, ask questions, or has some subjects. I'm going to choke on this. Oh, but yeah, we're working on site. It was exceptionally cold last night. Thankfully I wasn't working last night, but it got down to -5, -6 around here last night, which is obviously desperately cold. Chat box is there for anyone that wants to ask a question or comment or has any subjects they want me to talk about, etc. But I tried doing a podcast episode just a second ago. It's the second time I've tried it now and it hasn't worked, and it's sort of me patrolling and just doing like a podcast episode whilst I'm patrolling, because I was saying that when I'm out there patrolling with the dog, obviously I'm paying attention to stuff that's going on around me, but I think that that's probably the time that I spend the most time talking to myself, thinking, planning whatever it is that I've got in my head about planning for this week, etc. And I thought it'd be interesting just to make it a podcast episode, but at the moment they're not usable. Got to find a way of muffling the movement of my coat, etc. Probably what I do need to get is like one of them microphones that you see all the TikTokers wear, but I feel like a bit of a twat if I have a TikTok mic when I'm working, etc. But that's probably what it needs for it. But I was going to try and do like a patrol one, and to be honest with you, when I was doing it, one of the main things that I was talking about on the episode was about the winter being your biggest enemy as a security dog handler. Like, there are times where people will be on site where you might have arguments with people, you may have trespassers that are causing you aggro, etc. But I think out of everything in security dog handling, your biggest battle is winter, is working in winter time. Luckily today, even though it's like probably what 3, 4, 5 degrees today, actually in the van it's actually pretty warm, probably about 9-10 degrees where I can keep myself warm, etc. But out there it's pretty cold, and like I can wrap myself up and I can get myself moving and patrol with a dog, take a jog with a dog if I have to keep myself warm, etc. But I reckon that there's more people that have left security dog handling from working in winter and not being able to cope with it than there has been people leaving security dog handling because they've don't enjoy dealing with people or fights that they've had on site, etc. I think that the cold is the main one. Is your site gritted or ungritted? This site will be ungritted. It's not got cold enough that it's required to be gritted anyway. There was a bit of snow. What night was I driving home? I was driving home and it started snowing, but it didn't really lay, to be honest. But there's no grit boxes around on this site, so I think if it does snow, this site will be an ungritted site. I can't see them doing it, to be honest. But to be honest with you, even if the workers do grit, they're not going to grit where I potentially are going to patrol anyway, and this site is far too big to be able to grit by hand. You would need to get someone to come in with a car or a machine in order to grit. It's far too big to be able to do by hand, etc. But even if the workers did have grit, they wouldn't grit where I'm gonna patrol and walk anyway. They're gonna grit where obviously they are, which doesn't really help me because I'm not gonna patrol the dog where they're working, etc. So yeah, but But in terms of sites being slippery, gritted, ungritted, etc., that obviously brings its own things with security dog handling. I remember doing a session with Terry long time ago, and he wasn't talking specifically about it being icy or whatever, but he was definitely talking about if you're patrolling on grass, about being unsteady on your feet. And obviously you need to, when you're a security dog handler and you've got your dog out, let's take example the other day, which was my last video, when the 3 guys were on site and I went down there with the dog. In the back of your mind, you've got to be thinking, right, I need to keep my distances, but what I also need to do is I need to keep my distance, so if I lose my footing, that I've got time to be able to stop myself and the dog before the dog can get to the people, etc. So that obviously does bring its own things as well. And if, for argument's sake, you use the dog, so you got to lead the dog and then another dog, let's call that 12 foot that you normally do, maybe you give yourself 15 to 20 feet when obviously it's icy or it's unstable underfoot, etc. So that is something to keep in mind. And if your site is gritted and ungritted, trying to keep yourself obviously on the gritted part of site is obviously going to be much better for you. But yeah, like I say, this site is far too big to grip by hand, and when the workers go, it's only going to be me here anyway. And yeah, there's not a grip box, so I'm not going to be doing that. Ice skating it is, yeah. Like I say, so far, touch wood, it's not been too bad. This site does suffer a little bit when it rains, with like not flooding, but there's some quite large puddles that come up in certain areas. But like I say, this site is so big, I can walk around them. I don't need to go through them sorts of bits, and they do ice over. There's a few puddles out there that are iced up. The dog Cooper likes walking on. I'm not sure if he quite fully understands what it is, but he likes walking on the ice and falling through it a little bit. He seems to enjoy that, which is obviously great when it's just a puddle. Obviously not going to let him onto a lake and do that, because that becomes dangerous, but he quite enjoys it. He didn't quite know what to make of the puddle that wouldn't break the other day. He was kind of just slipping and sliding around, so I got him off there before he done himself any mischief, etc. But yeah, it's a bit of a change this weekend. I got someone new working over the weekend. The handler that I normally work alongside, really nice bloke. I was gonna say, he is little. He's only about 5'4", I think. He's tiny. But he's had a problem with his SIA license, and he told me that when I go to renew my license to be careful and give yourself enough time. Apparently he filled in his paperwork and everything he needed to. He filled that in 3 months ago and sent it in, and the SIA have ballsed it up, apparently, according to him. So currently he hasn't got an SIA license for this weekend, so they've had to give his shifts to someone else, and then hopefully he'll be back on Monday, because I do enjoy working alongside him, because he's never late. He's always probably half an hour to 45 minutes early, which is always great. And I think that's one of the things I enjoy most about working alongside someone. I don't care if someone turns up 5 minutes before their shift, 45 minutes before their shift, whatever it is, as long as they're consistent and you roughly know what's happening. There's been lots of times where I've worked alongside people and they turn up, one day they'll turn up an hour before their shift, the next day they'll turn up 10 minutes before their shift, and then the next day it might be like 40 minutes, and you don't know when they're coming, so you can't kind of prepare yourself to finish, do your final patrol, etc. Because I like to do a final patrol before I hand over. I don't know why my nose is running. I like to do a final patrol before I hand over, so that I know that this part of the fencing was secure. Like around here at the moment, there are a couple of areas in the fencing where they've got some measures in place for sort of temporary fencing whilst they're doing some work, etc. But I want to know when I was patrolling that was okay, and I'll take pictures on my patrol and say, right, that part was secure. So if I come back in the morning, they can't turn around and say, well, that bit of site that's a little unsecure, that's you've left that in where someone's broken in. So I like to be able to go and do my final patrol. So having someone that is consistent with their times that turn up I'll say I don't care if they turn up 5 minutes before or 45 minutes before, as long as they're consistent and I know, okay, well, if I do my last patrol at this time, I know that then that gives me enough time to get back, sort out the dog, the van, etc., so that when they turn up, I can then do the swap over with them reasonably quickly. Because a lot of handlers turn up and sometimes they want to have a chat, etc., but most of the time when handlers turn up, they just want you to go so that they can set themselves up, get their dog out, to let the dog have a wee or whatever. Maybe the dog's had a long journey to get to wherever it is. So lots of times when it comes to handlers taking over from each other, they don't want you hanging around for half an hour having a chat, etc. When my guy turns up 45 to 30 to 45 minutes early, it's just a quick, anything you need to know? No, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, well, off you go, I'll see you in the morning. So I'm pretty consistent in which I turn up 15 minutes before my shift, sometimes 5 minutes earlier, sometimes 5 minutes later. Obviously it depends on traffic, etc., but I always aim for 15 minutes before my shift starts, and I like to be consistent with that, because like I say, then it helps the other handler that he knows what time I'm going to be there. And if, like I say, when he turns up, like if I know he turns up minimum of half hour earlier, if all of a sudden it's like 20 minutes before the end of the shift, I can text him and say, you having any problems? Normally he'll text me and say, look, I've got some problems, I'll be late. Same with him. There's been a couple of times with traffic in that I've messaged him and said, look, I'm going to be before the shift starts, but I'm going to be 10 minutes later than I normally am, so that they don't worry. Because I've also done shifts where you sit there and you're like, normally they're here by now, and then you leave it 5-10 minutes, you're like, no, there's something wrong. And there's been plenty of shifts where I've left it until the shift starts, rung them up and said, what's going on? And they go, oh, sorry, he's overslept, or sorry, we haven't, the handler that was meant to be working has called in sick and we haven't got another handler in yet. So a lot, consistency is a big thing for me, and that's why I enjoy working alongside it. It's not because he turns up 45 minutes early that I enjoy working with him, it's the fact that he's consistent. Can't he work on temp license, what I had to do over December period? Yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what's holding him back. I've got a feeling it might be something to do with his right to work in the UK. It might be something to do with his right to work in the UK, which is why he can't, they're not redoing his license. But he said something about he copied and pasted what he sent in 3 months ago and they've accepted it, so hopefully he'll have a license to be able to work on Monday. So maybe the SIA have denied his license and then he's managed to sort it out, and by Monday they will give him maybe a temp license that he can work on then. But I think it possibly is something to do with his right to work in the UK, which he has, because he's obviously been doing it. But maybe they've refused his license, but now they're going to offer him a temp one for maybe next week. But he said to me that he doesn't know, he won't know till Sunday what's going on. And that's obviously different companies work different ways, etc. But like, I know what site I'm going to be on, and I just turn up and do my shifts unless I'm told otherwise. I'll get a message, or they'll ring me and say, right, from tomorrow such and such is happening, etc. So in terms of my site, look, I know I'm going to come here Monday to Friday, do my hours, and that's it. Unless I'm told otherwise, that's what I do. But there are other companies that or other handlers that I've worked alongside or I've spoken to, etc., and on the Sunday they'll find out where they're going to be on Monday morning, and like that, it might not be their normal site. They might be planning their week around, right, I'm going to be at this site, etc., and then on Sunday, whatever time it is, they go, okay, from 7 a.m. you're not going to be working 5 miles away, you're going to be working 40 miles away, etc., and that would do my head in. Well, I'm not even reading that. So yeah, I'll just, like I say, it's a bit of a change. So the only problem I've got with tonight is that the postcode for this site doesn't bring you to the front gate. So the guy that I work along with now, when it was his first site, he turned up. I think he turned up like 10 minutes before the start of his shift, but he was driving up and down here for about half an hour because he couldn't find the site, etc. So there's a good chance that I'm going to have problems with the handler not being able to find the site. And obviously we're doing a handover, so unless they've worked here before, which I doubt, because I've been working on this site from more or less the start of it. Unless they've worked on this site, I'm going to have to do a full handover with them, and definitely none of them would have worked this site since the workers have been here, so I need to obviously explain. So hopefully they'll turn up early so that we can get that done in time for me to leave on time. Hopefully they don't turn up at the o'clock, let's say 5 o'clock. Don't turn up at 5 o'clock and then I have to stay here for an extra 15 minutes past my finish time in order to do it. If that happens, that happens, but hopefully they're planning on getting here 15 minutes before, so you can do a 5-10 minute explanation, because obviously it's going to be dark as well, so you're going to have to walk it. I can't just point and say, oh, you see that over there, because obviously it's going to be pitch black. So with any luck they're going to turn up 15 minutes early, and I can get the handover done and finished before my finish time, or by my finish time, etc. Oh man, has anyone got any questions or anything they want to talk about? This is going to be my Saturday video for tomorrow. Like I say, I'll try to do that patrol podcast episode, but it's not working. I need to get myself one of these TikTok mics and become one of them TikTok twats in order to do that podcast, which might be good. Like I say, when I'm out patrolling, etc., that's where I get to do a lot of my thinking and a lot of my talking to myself. So I might as well rattle that out in a podcast episode. And at the moment I've tried putting the phone in my vest, in a secure part of my vest, and all you can hear when I'm walking is the rustling, etc. So I think I'm going to have to be one of them TikTok twats and get myself a microphone to do that, which might come in handy a little bit as well with some of the videos that I do. I've been selected to play my Vets football team tomorrow. Well, that's a plus, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully, so I'll probably think about doing that at some point. Just need to get round to buying one and doing it. I just don't want to be one of them social media twats that takes it too far, but it is what it is. They've got the demolition guys have got a crusher in today, which is interesting. Obviously where they've been doing a demolition, they've got like these massive boulders and it's crushing it into little like sandy pieces. Quite interesting. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anything they want to chat about, like I say, this is going to be my Saturday video, so I thought I'd just jump on here for a little bit until people are bored of me talking, or I've covered everything that anyone's got questions about. I think in terms of my dog handling, it's nothing really much changing. I've got one gripe a little bit with security dog handling training, is that a lot of the trainers around me normally do like Monday to Friday training. Like I need a trainer that works at the weekend, because obviously at the moment where I'm working Monday to Friday during the day, that's where everyone does their training, etc. And I can't take a whole day off work to go dog training, and I think it should be part of the NASDU trainers thing, that they at least offer one weekend a month where you can do training, etc., without it being a one-to-one, because trainers charge you extra for one-to-one sessions, or from my experience trainers charge you more for one-for-one sessions. So yeah, I want to know why trainers can't offer more weekends. Maybe it's just round my way that trainers don't do it, etc. But that's an issue for me at the moment, trying to get to training, because I've got to either take the whole day off work just to go dog training, and obviously pay for dog training as well, so you're down another 40 quid or whatever it is. So that's a bit of a pain in the arse. I want a trainer that does weekends, so I can obviously go on a Sunday morning or something, go and do dog training. I did have a trainer, but they live so far away from me, it kind of messes up the whole day really. So maybe I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining. Old iPhone headphones with the wire. That is, have I got a pair of them? I don't know. I don't think I've got a pair. That is a good point. The old style headphones with the wire. That is a good point. I could do that. That would work for the podcast episodes, definitely, for sure. I've got wireless headphones. I did have some AirPods. But the Spaniel ate one of them. So I've only got the left ear now, and then I've got some Beats ones that I have in my vest in case I need to call the police and leave my hands free. I've got these Beats ones, but when I start video on the phone, it cuts out the Beats headphones and uses the phone microphone. And then obviously when I've got my phone in my vest or on my trouser pocket, obviously the sound of walking muffles a lot of me talking. When I stand still, it's fine, but I can't patrol standing still, unfortunately. We haven't got to that part of technology yet with dog handling that you can patrol and stand still at the same time. Hopefully at some point that will become a thing, but until then we'll just carry on patrolling as we normally do. Well, the good news is also it's Friday, end of the week for me. Once this shift's done, it's the end of the week for me until Monday morning. Has anyone got any plans over the weekend? I'm playing football tomorrow. We've got top of the table tomorrow. They beat us 4-3 earlier on in the season, so we need to, if we're thinking about trying to win the league, we need to beat them tomorrow. They're currently 6 from 6, and we've won 2, lost 2, so we could do with or we won 3, lost 2, and they're 6 from 6 or 7 from 7, I think. So we need to beat them tomorrow if we're thinking about trying to win the league this year. But other than that, I think the house needs some stuff I need to do. Would anyone be interested in seeing my new house? Don't know if it makes any difference really. I'm trying to get it to a point where I can set it up a little bit for to do some lives at home, because I think more people enjoyed me doing the lives at home as like a Q&A rather than doing it at work, or people may not even care. But I'm trying to convince the missus as well that I need like a docking station when I go home, which has been met with some resistance, I must admit. But what I want is like a desk or somewhere in the house where I can go in with my bag, my Bluetti, my torch, whatever it is, and I just have little docking stations and I can just put everything on charge in there and then walk off. Because at the moment I'm having to charge my Bluetti in the kitchen, but I need to wait for us to have had dinner for me to put it on overnight. So I want a little space at home where I can have like a little docking station where I can go in, put the Bluetti on charge, body cam, torch, whatever it is, and just have my own little station. But at the moment it's been met with some resistance from the opposition, because we don't really have that area at the moment. But I'm working on it. She's just got a brand new desk that she's building today, so maybe I'll commandeer it. But I feel like if I do commandeer her new desk, that may cause some friction. So yeah, I don't know if anyone would be interested. Maybe once I sort everything out. The house that I got was an ex-rental property that's had no one in it since March, so it's not a disaster, but it was quite overgrown, and it's not, because it was a rental property, they didn't really decorate it the way you would do a home. So there's lots of work that needs to be done on it, but it's obviously much better for the dogs, because some of you guys may know that I was living in a flat before, and living in a flat with the dogs was absolutely fine. Even having Coop, like, it's absolutely fine, because obviously we come out to work, whether it's in the day or of a night, for 12 hours, at least 12 hours a day. Me and Coop are out, and he's doing his exercise that way. So actually living in a flat wasn't too bad. I know lots of people that live in flats and they worry whether they can have a security dog in a flat, and as long as your tenancy, if you're renting, as long as the tenancy says that you can have a dog, there is no reason why you can't live in a flat and do this job. Because like I say, for at least 12 hours a day you are out and about, you are active, the dog's patrolling, etc. And then obviously when you go home, you want the dog to calm down. You don't want the dog to be like he is at work when you go home. So it works out quite well. The only thing is that obviously you can't just open the door and let the dog go out for a toilet, and that you have to physically go out for walks. And I think that's why in the end, whilst I had one dog it was fine, but then once I got the second dog, having to go out and take two dogs for a walk one after the other become a bit tiresome. I could walk both of them at the same time, but if Coop or Ollie got spooked, obviously with Coop starts kicking off, etc., it can be a bit dicey, etc. But I think you can do this job whilst living in a flat, because like I say, for most of the time you and the dog will be out at work, and when you go home you want the dog to be able to relax. You don't want the dog to be the way it is at work. So it actually does work, but you've got to obviously be working. You can't do this job 2 days a week and then live with the dog in the flat, because the dog's not going to be getting enough. When you're working 5-6 days a week, etc., the dog is continuously getting enough exercise and enough stimulation that when you go home it doesn't want to tear your house apart. Because that, at the end of the day, that's what will end up happening if you get a working line dog. If you don't give it enough stimulation, you don't give it enough exercise, it will ruin your life and ruin your house. So if you are getting a Malinois, you can't get a Malinois and work this job 2 days a week. It can't be a weekend thing, because Monday to Friday, unless you have a job in which you can take the Malinois and exercise it, you can't leave a Malinois at home 5 days a week and go to work at a weekend with it. So you have to be doing it the other way, where you have to work 5 days a week and then have the 2 days off, but you still obviously got to exercise it, etc. So you can do this job and have a dog that lives in a flat with you, because I've done it for 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years, and had no real issue. But yeah, once I got two dogs, I was fed up with doing two walks to take the dogs for toilets, etc. So that's why we've got the house now. But yeah, other than that, what are we coming up to 27.5 minutes. If anyone's got any last questions or any last topics, otherwise I'll cut it off at 30 minutes. I'm happy to stay if anyone's got any questions or a topic they want me to talk about, but other than that, I'll cut it at 30 minutes. The rest of this month is going to be pretty much solid work. I think these boys are going to be here for a little while longer. To be fair, it passes the time having them around. I enjoy having workers on site, because it does pass the time watching them do work, etc. There's lots of times at this site before they turn up where it's a little bit like watching paint dry. So at least it gives you something to look at. I found when I first started doing this job and I started doing nights, that when I started doing days I realised how much quicker it went, because something as stupid as watching a seagull or a couple of seagulls, just watching them walk around site and just having distractions. Obviously people are up and about, you see people driving about, people walking about, etc. It definitely makes the time go quicker. When you're sitting here and it's pitch black and all you see is pitch black for 12 hours, that's when it can drag on a little bit. But I enjoy doing these day shifts. If I said to the missus the other day, someone asked me about it, and in terms of working, in terms of being selfish and being a dog handler, I do enjoy the night shifts, because you come do your work, etc. Obviously it's pitch black, but you come here, you do your work, etc. and then you go home, have a sleep, get up, no one's around, you can kind of get all your stuff ready, you can have some food, you can have a hot meal, etc. And then you go to work obviously for a night shift. So selfishly I much prefer working the night shifts, but these day shifts, in terms of quality of life and relationship, the day shifts are such an improvement on anything else, because I get to see the wife every evening now. When I'm working nights, I don't see her 4 or 5 nights a week. So the day shifts are definitely better in terms of relationship, etc. And out of the two, if the day shifts are available, I will do day shifts. But if I was selfish, night shifts are much better. But it's what it is. At least with night shifts, you can get like a hot meal before you go to work, etc. I'm not cooking myself hot food before I leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, so obviously you miss out on that a little bit. But guys, that is going to be the end of this. It's half an hour. Hopefully there was something in here that you found interesting or was worth talking about, etc. This video will be my Saturday video for tomorrow, so if you want to watch this back from the start, if you're just joining and you want to watch this back from the start, it will be live at 9 AM tomorrow morning, where you can watch the whole half hour. There were some good topics in there. I felt like I spoke about some stuff that you might find interesting, etc. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for loads more videos. As for now, I'll see you again next week, where hopefully something interesting will happen. Nothing really interesting's happened this week. It's been quite busy, which is why I've not really had too much time to do a video, etc. So I thought I'd come on, do a live, see if anyone had any questions they wanted answering. But guys, I'll leave it there, and I will see you next week. Have a great week. Look after yourselves, look after your dogs, and I'll see you then. Cheers for watching. See you later.